What's going on, everybody? Tim from Tierfon Orbital. This is going to be a little bit more of an in-depth Proffie walkthrough, along with a demo of the install as well. However, this install is a little special because it is going to be gifted to a very, very good friend of mine. His son does like an OB cosplay, and I wanted to do something really, really cool for him. In that I wanted him to have an actual like OB Padawan hilt. So this also gave me a chance to put my hands on the Ultimate Works Obi-Wan. And of course, true to form, while I was doing the install on this hilt, I fell in love with it. So now I'm getting my own. I don't typically like Prequel hilts. It's not my aesthetic. I don't typically usually like them. However, I did a Tuscan Slayer a couple of months ago for somebody, and I love that hilt. And now the Obi, it's great. So I'm getting one for myself. I like the way that it feels. I like the way that it looks. So yeah. Anyhow, so we will talk about the chassis a little bit, and then I will go over how to use the hilt and how to navigate Proffie, the Proffie board, and all of that, right? Because I'm pretty sure this is going to a first-time Proffie board user. So not going to be as quick and jump through it as I usually do, right? So let's talk about the chassis first. Here is the chassis that is in this hilt. It is a removable chassis design. So this whole chassis is what holds your soundboard. The soundboard is what controls the entire hilt. So this is what controls your sound. It controls your colors on your blade, and all of that good stuff, right? So with this Proffie board, if you ever decide to the client, if you ever decide that you want to start editing some of the stuff that's on your board, you're going to need to get at the USB port that is on the board itself. So this whole board that sits in here will slide out of this lip and tilt upwards, and you can get at your USB port as well as your SD card, right? In this chamber, we have a kill switch. This is how you turn the chassis on and off. I recommend turning it off when you're not using it. This does save battery. With Proffie board, it has some parasitic drain even when you're not using it. It has a sleep function, but even when you're not using it, it's just going to drain the battery little bit by little. So I recommend just hitting that kill switch when you are not using it. Battery sits in this tray. And around back, I just did some light greebly work. Light. This is not light by any means. Look, it's so extra. Like, I just put so much stuff on these chassis, right? So some of these are new greeblies. I did do some like embossing of shapes on the back here, and that's it, right? So we've got a 24mm speaker that sits in this pocket down here, and up top I put a 6-rail PCB from Stardust Sabers in this one. And this is what makes the connection to the top of the hilt, right? So, nice and quick, let's go over the hilt. So this is the OWP from Ultimate Works, or Pach Store carries them. You have the option to get a fully installed direct from the factory with their proprietary core, or you can get a pre-kit. None of this matters to you, the client. I don't know, but just so that other people know, I received this with the pre-kit installed already. So my intention was to just gut it and remove the pre-kit. The pre-kit is what holds the wiring for the switches and the lit PCB, and it also has their PCB pins at the bottom here. So what I was surprised to find was that as I started disassembling this, I was still able to retain the wiring for both the switches and the lit PCB. Obviously, I took off their pins because I needed to add my own pins to this. But yeah, dodged a headache and a bullet that way, just utilizing So I didn't have to like figure out like how these switches were wired or anything like that. So it was nice and easy for me as the installer, right? Awesome looking hilt, just super unique. It's OB's Padawan hilt. I love this thing. Really, really like it, right? We got a CoverTech wheel here. I mean, how can you go wrong? Really, really unique hilt. So let's talk about the chassis as well, really quick. So here is the chassis. I did my typical pass of buff and rub on this. I also went back and painted some of the greeblies just to give it more depth. I did a silver pass on these greeblies on this side. And that's it, right? Just some colored accents. Nice and simple. Here's where that board sits. So let's go over how to use this guy, right? So I will include the battery with this. I'm assuming that you don't have any 18650 batteries laying around the house. So to put your battery in, the spring side is your negative. So you want to make sure you're putting the flat side of your battery. This is the flat side. The top side is where this little button is. So you want to put the flat side or the negative side of your battery down in the tray.
A lot of carbon scoring here. Looks like you boys have seen a lot of action.
So this was already on. If you don't hear anything when you put the battery in, hit your kill switch.
A lot of carbon scoring here. Looks like you boys have seen a lot of action.
On, if you're looking at the chassis, is to your right. Okay. So what I have been doing when it comes time to put the chassis in, oops, you can unscrew your pommel. I actually take the chassis, slide it into your pommel till it stops, okay? And that's like your core, okay? Then you just slide that in the hilt and screw it until it stops. And you're ready to go. So this purple brass button is your main. The red knurled button is your aux. So to turn your hilt on, you just tap your main. Let's come down to the bottom. So, this is a Proffie board lightsaber. To navigate, so the fonts are your different sounds, okay? Each font has a different blade associated with it. So, the majority of the fonts that I put on here are OB fonts, but there's some other ones. But most of the OB fonts are blue, right? But you can change the color of your blade as well. But just so you know, each font has its own blade, right? So let's put a blade in it really quick. So to put a blade in your hilt, so it'll come with a blade plug. This is just decorative, but you want to take that out. There's a set screw up top here. There will be Allen keys in the box. Take your blade plug out. And down in there, it lights even when there's no blade in here. So this takes a 1-inch blade. So you want to take your blade and just slide it in the top of the emitter. So it's making a connection to those pins down there. And then you tighten your set screw. Just make sure you tighten it relatively tight. Relatively. You don't want to over crank it, right? And then you're ready to go. So twist to activate and twist to deactivate are on this. So if you want to turn your hilt on without hitting the button, it's a quick twist of your wrist like you're revving a bike. And the same to deactivate it. It's a sweet spot. You got to practice to hit it. But once you do, it's a pretty cool feature. So to navigate through your next font, you want to tap aux while the blade is off.
That is the sound of 1,000 terrible things heading this way.
So like I said, each font's got its own different blade animation. Now, if you want to change the color of your blade, you hold aux and tap main, and you can scroll through a color wheel. When you find which color you like, tap main again, and it'll hold on to that color. See what else we put on here.
General Kenobi.
So to activate blast, it's a tap of the aux button. You can also simulate a lockup with another lightsaber by holding down aux as you clash the blade. So the blade clashes when you hit stuff. To activate lockup, you want to hold down aux while you are clashing. You can also simulate stab effects. So you do the same. You hold aux as you're stabbing at something. What else do we have on here? Trying to do a quick rundown on how to use Profffie. There are plenty of videos out there, walkthrough videos. There's some really, really great folks that have done in-depth how-tos on how to navigate Profffie. So it is a very, very robust soundboard. A Profffie board can do anything. It's a great, great board. Really customizable. You can put all kinds of weird blade animations on if you want. But like I said, the majority of these are all OWP, all right, or from the prequels. So that's it. That's it. A nice, quick. That was a quick rundown on Profffie. I know that you can't really cover how to use a Profffie in one video. It's a very robust board, but right out of the box, you're ready to go. And it's a fantastic hilt. Like I said, I'm getting one for myself because I really like the way that it feels in hand, and it's just a great sounding hilt too. So anyway, that's all I got. So to the client and your son, enjoy your lightsaber. Try not to break any lamps or anything around the house. And that's it. That's all I got. If anyone has any questions, any other viewers have questions about the chassis or anything about the pre-kit with this one, please don't be a stranger. Let me know. And with that being said, may the force be with you always. Thanks for watching, everybody.